figure out where I'm at. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So we're going to be on page Kuf Mem. Kuf Mem. And let's see what we're doing. That's it. Okay, so it says, Acher HaChurban, Nimshachim Mochen Lezun, Rak Be'esa Tefilos. Let me see where I'm at here. That's number Zion. So then he writes, Aval Acher HaChurban Be'esa Mikdash, V'avan Aseinu Rabim, Nistalkol Nemochim Min Zun. For all you days there, I'm in the wrong place here. Let's see. Zon ba'al yedecha b'chatefilosenu. An the gormi lahachzer v'lacham shechem mochem bezon. We bring the mochem back. Kadei shizdavgu be'esa tefila v'yashpia shefa ba'olam and bring bracha into the world. La'achar ha'churban, the Tiv writes, nistalko ha'mochem bezon. V'lachein atach be'esa galos muto Alena the hispalish shlosh tefillas b'yom, so therefore we have to do this 3 different times. And we learned some details on this. Begedei lahamshech al yadam as semochin the zon v'lezav gon panim b'panim, and cause that fact. By yedei came yimshech hashefa la'olam, and this will bring the shefa of Hashem into the world. 1 second. Okay. Now, let me just see one thing here. That was number Zion. Let's read number Ches. Then after the tefillah, what happens is, Chosri Mamochin, the Histalik Mechem, the Mochin leave. They go back. Ad Zaman Tefillas Acheres, until you get the time for the next davening. B'kol Darcham Tamed, B'kol Tefillah, Shall you may hachol, and this is the way that it goes like that. So he said, Hamshachas Amochim Na'asas Be'esa Tefillah. He rocked the fi Shaar v'achach Tefillah Mistalkim Amochim v'yotze Mezon. Ada Tefillah Rabbabaruch She'aznim Shachim Shuv Mochin, the Mochin come back. Kachu Haseder B'kol Tefillas Yimosachol. Nimsa Shebizman Hagalad B'Sulakim Hamochim Mezon. Milvad be'esa tefillah, so that bizman hagalos, when we're the mochim are constantly leaving us, trying to get them back. So we have over here a number Gimel in the Shefa Hakavanot, and we're learning those, and let's see what it says. It says ad zaman tefillah acheres. So he says, what does that mean? Hiksha b'shem and Sasan, he has this problem. The mashbach she'osa the mochim atzmim shenek nasa bezon b'tefila achas v'nistalki b'mena la'achar tefila, they leave. Heim atzmim, and they are the same mochim chosrim the kones bo b'tefila raboah, and the next tefila it's the same mochim. The mochim leave, they come back. V'kasha sh'arav b'makom acher, in another place he says in Rosh Shinu tefilos, he says let's find the place out here. Nizbar sheyesh hefresh. Being called tefillah, there are differences between every tefillah. Being yom lechaveirah, be one name and the next. Because yom v'yom nisaking, parts of chadash or shaykh liyom zeh, every day has a different parts of that it's dealing with. For example, yom rishon is chesed and yom sheni is gevura, etc., and going that way through the 7 days and the 7 midos. So then how are you dealing with that if we know that we're dealing with a different element of the parts of a parts of? He arvis the yom sheni, which because of ultimately you get to Marav and it's really a different day. Alo biyom rishon tikunim naasach beparts of chesed, biyom sheni naasach tikunim beparts of the gevura, and etc. like that. So we've seen quite a bit about this in the back of the sefer. So let's see what Bibir Sham explains of it. The chain b'kol yom hazivuvin naasach beparts of mecherim. The Kavanas a Rab Khan who rock klape hat tefillah shall osach yom. So let's just take those tefillahs of that particular day. Shekulu na'asim parts of echad, and all of them really are dealing. Well, each day is a different parts of. Is dealing with that parts of. So let's talk about the kelim benimim. Shenikdasuch b'tefid chakras v'nistalku. So that those are the kelim benimim. And we have kelim benimim, emseim, and kitzonim. So in the chakras, shenikdasuch b'tefid chakras v'nistalku, and then they leave. Chozav v'niknas, and is there anpin shenus b'tefilus mincha, but those same mochin come back again. V'chein b'tefilus arvis come before le'el, so we saw this already. V'after tefilus arvis sheyechas the yom haba, which is arvis we know is really the beginning of the previous of the next day. Zeh klape hamochin chachadashim. So this is regards to. I'm not sure I really got this 100%. The zeh klape hamochin chachadashim. There are no mochin haniknas b'tefilus arvis. So that's really they're from an extension of what happened in the morning, where you were dealing with the kelim penimim. Here you're dealing about you, and then in mincha time you went through the mseim, and then at nighttime once again it's still shaykh to those kelim, but it's going to be the hitzonim part of it. This is how the Seder starts. But in terms of those kelim, those mochin, they go with those kelim. The Yom HaKodem, it really belongs to the previous day. In this way, you have a zivug. What is taking place at that time, at nighttime, is a yichud of Yaakov and Leah. So in Nimsa, the Masha Kosev Kam Harav Sham Mochim Istalkim Achar Shachris, where he says that the Mochim leave after Shachris, Adzman Tfilas Acheres, the Osach Yom, Koi Al HaMochim the Keleb Benimim. So we're talking about these Kelim and Lumen. I need to read this again. So just one part of it. So let me see if I can. Let's go to a place where it says Aval Klapi Chazaras Amochin the Keleb Benim the Yaakov and Rachel. So we're dealing with Yaakov and Rachel here. Shayechas Tefilas Arvis the Yom HaKodim. So it's really still an extension of the previous day. Shachosach and Mashach Hamochin Nikdas Ubit Tefilas Chakras. They come back again, but they're going to Kelim Kitzonim. Mitzad Zechad Na'asa Zivug the Yaakov of the Leah. Now that's the part that really gets me. Well, at nighttime you start to having a yichud of Yaakov Leah. Nimsa the Masha Kosev Kama Rav Shachab B'Mocha Mistalkim Achar Chakras Ad Zman Tefilas Acheres Dos Hayom Koi Olamochin the Keleb Benimim. So that's the Keleb Benimim that's going to be coming back all three times. I think that's what he means. Let's go back to, let's go up to the top and go to Inyan Tefilas in the Dava. This is something that we talked about, so where would that be? That would be number Tes, down here. So Higam Zecha Besod Masha Koser Begemara, Shahoya Ktsas Tamidi Chacham Mispalan Tefilas the Dava Be'emsach Yom, and in the middle of the day they would do another tefillah, a different one, not of the regular three. To find another way to bring the mochim back. For the grom zivug el yon b'shar itos hayom. So he says bezeh. So in this now mavur mamasha betzida begemara. Shoyach chachamim asher milvad the shloshes tefilas amchuyavim. Hoyach mispalanam b'meshach hayom od tefilos. They're bringing more tefilos. But no safas, but Teves is the double. For a union who should rasa the grom ham shachas of mochin v'zivug noisef be'emsach hayom. So that's the idea of a yidei kain laham shech shefa noisef la'olam, to bring a new shefa into the world. So there was another daled. There was a daled back in the previous one that I didn't get on the shefa. So he had said, I'm sorry, that he said that in going back a little bit to page Kuf Mem, in the third line it starts, we're talking about the mochim that come back into Zun. He said, so where was number Dalet? This is number, okay, there. The moves come back to leave. mehem, ad zaman tefillah acheres, b'kol darkum tamid, b'kol tefillah shel yimei hachol, and that's the way that it goes during the weekdays. So let's see what we say. There was a little dalet here, so let me just pick this up. He says in the Shefa Hakavanot, he says shel yimei hachol. Bir Hashem and Sazach the bedavka neked kam yimei hachol, because during the weekday that's the time that you really need to. Well, if you're going to make a tefillah zedava, shekain b'tefillah shel Shabbos lo mistalken lemochamacha tefillah. El nisharna bezun kol hayom kebevura lekaman bedrush shinui tefillah. So we're going to explain this in the drush on shinui tefillos. So let's go on, and there's also another number hey. So he said, "V'ligrom zivug elyon b'shar b'itos yom yesh la'ayin ezer b'zivug hoya gormin b'tefidas and davu." What yichud? So if we had the concept that the yichud of the kelim penimim and then kelim emseiyim and then finally at nighttime kelim mechitzonim, which one does this affect? Yesh seder the zivugam and the b'kol tefillah. There is something going on different in every single tefillah. So he leaves it at that. And let's go to the next piece. So here we have some arichas coming up, and I thought that I'm going to do it because just going to do it. So he says like this, Gam, okay, I guess we'll read it from here. Gam says Sod Masha Issa Begamora, Shahoya Katsas Osam Achachom, Shahoya Nogan Lilvosh Tefillin. Let me see where I'm at. I got in the wrong place. Okay. There was a little blurb at the top. It says Inyan Devishas Tefillin Kali Yom. There's an Inyan that people used to, we don't see this anymore, or we don't see it too much, of wearing tefillin the whole day. Gam Secha Besod Masha Issa Begamor Shahoya Katsas Osam Achachom Shahoya Nogan Lilvosh Tefillin Kali Yom Kula. He said the Tam who Shaar Yedecha became Kol Yigormin El Hamuchim L'Al Yoin the Zun Shelo Yistalkel Bechem Kol Yom, that they shouldn't leave the whole day. So that's the kind of idea, is try to keep that zivug going. So he said, but you have to know something about what's happening in more detail. So he says, Sheniz Boyer Zecher Le'er B'drush Tefillin B'drush Lama Zaman HaTefillin Hu B'yom V'lo B'laylo. That's a part of that idea. Why is it in the daytime but not at nighttime for tefillin? B'zecher Mevurah V'gam HaMinhag Shenagu Chelim Chachomim Leilek Me'utarim B'tefillin B'meshach Kol Hayom. So what are the tefillin made of? The tefillin are made of a reshima de mochin, of a chachamim haladucha b'ratzonach of the hashech of a reshima de mochin kol hayom. So we're talking about a fact that well, we'll see how it goes. And we did learn the Kabbanis and Tefillin before, but I'm not sure that I really recognize what he's about to say. They want to keep that reshimo all day long. So he has some arichas here on this subject, Hakavanot. So therefore they leave the Tefillin on all day long. Now, number Yud Aleph, he says, Achevagam Sham Nizboyer Acher Kol Tefillah. So make plays over there after every tefillah. B'Sham Nizboyer Inyan Histalkus Hazecha V'Ma'in Yonah V'Lehecha V'Stalak V'Machah V'Nasa V'Mena. What happens from it? Ein Sham. So he goes and he says, Le'echa B'Drushot Tefillah Nizboyer Od B'Inyan Histalkus V'Mochim Acher Tefillah. So we're talking about the details of this. Yu'un b'Shefa Hakavanot. So then we're going to look at the Shefa Hakavanot over here, and let's get over and we'll take a look at it and see if we can get through it in the time that we have. He says, first of all, number Vav down below in the Shefa Hakavanot, he says, Shaar Yedecha became Kol Yigormin El Hamuchim El Yoin the Zun Shelo Yistalku Bechem Kol Hayom. He says, L'chorah Mishmuos Divrei Rav Kan. He sha'al yedei sha'hanicho tefillin kol hayom garmo she'ira hamochem atzba mezun kol hayom. It's mashma that the mochem never leave. Achein lukamon mevoyer marchusa, but later we're going to see that the Marchu explains that's hamochem atzman I efsher legrom lechashirim kol hayom. It's not possible to make them stay. V'rak es harishim of the mochem efsher lechasher ad yedei levishus tefillin. So if only we'll be talking about the Rishim of the Mochim, it's possible to leave them al yedecha devishas tefillin by putting onto the tefillin kol hayom, but sark lefarish as divrei Rav. So now we have to explain what the Rav is talking about. Kan she'al yedecha bekach hoya gormin el mochin el yoned dezun shelo yistalgu bechem kol hayom. So it's not talking about the mochin themselves or the main mochin, let's say the ikr of the mochin. We're talking about the Rishima the Mochin. He's talking about the Rishima there. Now this goes into something that really, I know something about this, but I know that I've read elsewhere that we're talking about, I thought that the tefillin came as a result of the hair of Eric Anpin reaching down on the back of the head of Zer Anpin and striking it and bringing an abundance of Mochin, which pushes out the tefillin. Now he's going to say something different here, and I'm not sure I could put it together. Let's look at number Zion in the Shefa Hakavanot, whether we're going to see some arichos today. We're going to go through it. So what's this about? This is istalkos. Now let me just make sure that I read this. I don't think, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't up at the top. So at the top we would be on number Yud Aleph. And number Yud Aleph says like this: V'gam sham nizboyer inyan and nizkapo. Besod histalkus amochim acher kol tefila tefila. V'sham nizboyer inyan histalkus azeh. Ma in yada v'lechecha mistalek v'machana asibemen. Ein sham. So he says up above, v'DRUSHOT tefila nizboyer od be'inyan histalkus amochim acher tefila. So Yom b'shefa. So he says, let's look at the shefa. That's where we're going to go now. Hakavanot kanshachat he talked no because amur sham that we're copying what is said over there. So number Zion down below, he says like that, V'sham nizboyer inin histalkus hazechet b'ma in yanu, what exactly is playing. V'lehechet mistalak v'machana atzah b'mena ein sham. So where do they go? What goes on? V'zechet v'deshon sham. This is what he says. U'levayer zechet b'tzark shenivayer inyan echad b'tefilos. So now we have to explain something, a particular idea in tefilos. He nechet nizboyer b'tzleila, but it's explained by us. Keep a call tefillah v'tefillah, because in every single tefillah, niknas and amochim v'achad tefillah chozach v'nistalkim. So we have this idea. So he says v'roi sheteda ki ha'inyan ena k'peshuto lo v'shacham b'mochim atzban sheboim heim nistalkim, so that the mochim themselves that are coming in, they're the same mochim that leave. V'heim shechozah and the boim, that's the same ones that come back again b'kol tefillah. That's not where it goes. Excuse me, because that you're getting a different shefa no matter what. Lo roy lezev, lo roy kazeh klal. But then say keep a bakal yom v'yom, bakal tefillah. Boim mochim b'chevim chadash in the gamri. Come v'chor l'kamon be'ezet Hashem ein sham. So we've talked about that. I'm not sure exactly what he means, because we know that from Shaar you're talking about the mochim that came into pnimim, and then like that. So I'm trying to put this all together. So he says, well, it doesn't go like you thought like that. It's something new. So what's going on? We're talking about nighttime now. Because after you daven, I guess it sounds like it's talking about the Myram. He said the mochin leave. So what happens with them? If they leave, then what's going on? But this is the secret. Does their anpin, so they do leave their anpin. They leave the head as their anpin. They come right out through the head. V'olam al rosha the zeranpin, and now they're standing onto these mochin are on top of the head of zeranpin, bebechilas or makif al rosha. Amnam kevorcha daticho. Now I already told you, he says, he called David Kedusha Ruchnius, Afal Pisha Mistalik, Im Kozera Benishta Sham the Oidacha Bebechilas Rishimo, Rishimu Zer, small Rishimo, Tomid. But the Shimo is actually, I guess, an image of, or an essence of the same thing that was in the coming, it came out. Ben Mistalik B'Sham, it doesn't leave. V'nimsaki afal pi she'ein hamochin nistalkel lamala besod mekifim k'nizker. I read it wrong. Ki afal pi she'elu hamochin, that these hamochin nistalkel lamala besod mekifim k'nizker. Im kol zecha nisha rishima de lechon go zer anpin kol yom kulo. So there's a rishima that stays there the whole day. So there's a v'chal yedecha v'zecha be'ein zun misma'atim, and this it keeps zun. I'm not sure what the meaning of this, and not become more limited. In other words, there's some aspect of godless that's still inside of them. Elo, nisharnim kol yom kula b'midas gedulosim shechoy be'ez tefillah shachris, which took place at the time of shachris. B'koach osar b'rishim b'chakaten, from the strength of that small rishim b'chanisher b'chem that remains in them. Even though they're not completely, they're not the whole mochin, they're just a rishimo. Like we saw that the main element of the mochin left, Meresha zer anpin. Kachi yotzim achar tefila Meresha the nok. V'omdim law besod mekifim gam kain. So let me read this again. Kachi yotzim achar tefila. We're talking about the nok now. V'omdim law besod mekifim gam kain, and they stand for her as like mekifim also. Vein nisha besocho. Inside of the mokim, rak rishimo zer kol yom kenizkar, the same thing, same idea. And that's what is able to maintain the element that is godless in them all day long. Now, let's keep going. Now, when the line comes, take a mistalek mechem af osach rishim b'chanizker, immediately this rishimo leaves too. Now we're talking about the nighttime. So this Rishima, when there's chalos of Lilo, it immediately leaves. Then Asa Oz, and then it makes or let me find it just 1 second, or Makif, Oz or Makif, and it becomes a Makif, also a Rosha. So what happened to the first one, which were Makif? Shabo Shahoya Besod Mikifim Al Rosha, that's what originally came out, that's the Iker of the Mochin, called the Yom Kaniskar. Haim Olim Atach of the Mala Yosa, they move further away. They become more bigger a Makif in some way. Now you have a Makif, Mina Makamahu. Kamosha Biyom B'Tzeisach of the Mochin Benimim Imenu, when we saw that the Mochin left him, Achar Tefillah, V'Olim the Yos Besod Mikifim. Then the main Mekifim, the root ones he calls them, so they go up higher from the place that they were, which was just above the head of Zeranpin, and they go to a higher place to make room for the Rishimo that's leaving also. So now there's a blank, it's empty. So became Ada also. So they keep going up. They're going to go up, but they're going to be underneath what he calls the Mochin Ikrim. So this Rishimo that came out at the beginning of the night, Olav Yashav Tachton Shalom goes up, and it's going to be underneath Shalom Mochin Benimim, V'hoyusham Besod or Makev Kenizker. So that's the lineup you have now. So you have two Makifim up there. He said, he had that phrase where he said they go up, Madrega Achar Madrega. So I'm thinking, well, he mentioned two. He's meant the Rishimo goes up, and the Iker goes up. What's the rest of the levels? But he says, well, that's what it is. Maybe he means by every single tefillah, has a different situation. But no, he says at nighttime, that's when the mochin, that's when the rishima, the mochin, that's when it leaves. So we're talking about this particular time, which is our time, which is the time we're talking about the night. So I don't want to go into it too much, as I don't want to start explaining their place. So we're going to see, we're not going to get into that. So we said before that the Rishima Zer Anpin goes up at the beginning of the nighttime. V'na'asach bechinas or makiv al rosho. Aval the Rishima the mochin the nuk and nikras rachel covers the bias. Now let's talk what we're talking about now. That's zun. So this is the female part, the nukva the Zer Anpin. Who mistala b'layla memeno, it leaves for her completely. V'niknas toch gufa the Zer Anpin. Now this I can remember. That goes into the gufa the Zer Anpin, and this is the basic of the arm tefillin, I think. Memakom amotzav, from the place that it comes out, she's going into the body of Zer Anpin, that is her mochin, or going into the body. Let me just check back one thing. Let's go back with Rishima the mochin the nuk. So we're talking just about the Rishima the nuk. Nikras Rachel, a karasabai. So just a thought here is that the Rishima of the mochin of the nuk, so it meant that the major mochin that were in the nook leave also. They're also up above somewhere, I think. And we're talking about the Rishimo. That Rishimo, the Rishimo, the mochin, the nook of Nikroim Rachel, the Kerasabayas, whom Mistala Balala Bemenu, that leaves her completely, but Niknaz Tok Gufa de Zer Anpit. Where does it go? Memakom Motso, from the place that it leaves the nukva, because her head corresponds to the place of his chazet. And there it's standing in the midst of Zer Anpin. And from that place it's shining into her down below. And there, let's go back over. Let's just I wandered a little bit. Let's go back where it said V'sham Oma B'soch Zer Anpin. And from that position, Meir Olech is shining onto her, Lamata, down below. V'sham ku Oma B'bechina B'kifim El Rochel Nuk Zer Anpin. There's something missing here for me. Mimakom Motzol Shuyat B'dechila Shuchu B'chaza Zer Anpin. V'sham Oma B'soch Zer Anpin. She's inside of Zer Anpin. And V'sham ku Meir, and from that place, he shines onto her, Lamata, which he is down below, because his mochin are up above and his rishimo are up above his head. V'sham who oma b'bechina b'kifim al rachel nuk de Zer Anpin. So therefore, the nuk is inside of Zer Anpin, where it was previously. It's now a makif for her. Now here we see a difference of what's happening at the nighttime. The nook is now inside of Zer Anpin, that is the Rishimo of the nook. Now we can explain something. He says, where there's always still a Rishimo in there. Who's the man tefillin the reisha of the roa? This is the time that we had tefillin in the reisha of the arm. So that's coming from that Rishimo. Ki mekoach osach of Rishimo, and we're talking about, I guess, after the mochin, the ikriim leave. So he says, Ki mekoach osach Rishimo yotzem gam kein bechinas tefillin. Like I said, that I know that I've seen previously about the sa'aros of Eric Anpin striking the back of the head of Zer Anpin, producing tefillin. This is not saying that. So maybe I got that wrong, or maybe this, I don't know. Or maybe this is a different version. Ki mekoach osach Rishimo yotzem gam bechinas tefillin. Avach b'layla she'ein sham Rishimo. What do you do now? Lo b'zera v'lo b'nok klal. Oz ein zaman tefillin lo dereisha v'lo b'deroa. That's the reason why we don't do it. There is nothing to build on. Gam b'zera b'tavin in tefillin ma in yonim. So now we can understand what's shot in tefillin. Kidal she'ein na'as in the tefillin ela ma'ozer rishimo. So we only make the tefillin from that rishima nishar min hamochim and rishonim, which is left over from the original mochim. Shenistalku achar b'chal achar tefillah shekodma that left at the tefillah that came first. So now we're in the morning time, and we're bringing another tefillah. New mochim are going to come into that situation. Mochim go ration. They're going to be mochim inside the head. Maybe from this I can understand what he said by they go madrega to madrega, because you have a next day. And I'm thinking maybe he means that when they're mekifim, they're mekifim. They remain mekifim. Let's go on so we can try to get through this here. So he says of the zon v'az a rishima she'aver yotze v'na'ase b'chidat tefillin. So then the rishimo that had the previous rishimo yotze v'na'ase b'chidat tefillin, it goes out and it becomes the aspect of the tefillin. I'm not sure I followed that. So tefillin are always made out of the rishima shehoyim min hamochim shel etmol, which came from the mochin of yesterday. So they're going to be really mochim panimim. They come into the reshon zeranpin. So therefore we put it on before the tefillah. Why? Because they're really related to something that was left over from yesterday. They come to tefillin aim min rishima de etmol shenaase b'chidat tefillin, which is going to turn into tefillin now. That's what happens then. Gam the tam zeh, and also for this reason. Iker mitzvahs tefillin hu beboker be'es tefillah defisha oz yesh mochin gemorim, because that's when the complete mochim are there. But the rest of the day, where we're really dealing with the rishimo, what's left over of it. So it's a little bit complicated there how that works. But so he goes over this briefly here. They leave zon. Where do they go? So that's what happens. Then after that, at nighttime, there's nothing there. The mochin is olem al rosha v'naasa or makiv, and it becomes a makiv as well. But rishima the mochin the nok niknas into zer anpin misham meir besof or makiv lenok, and then what's up above the rishima of zah is now shining into the rishima of the nok, which is inside of zah. But the mecharos, and the next day. Naase mebechidas of Rishimo the Yom Hakodim. So now this is the conclusion, and it just really kind of, he says the tefillin are made out of the Rishima the Yom Hakodim bechidas tefillin. That's what happens at that time. So that's about it. I thought I could get that in, and I wanted to do the whole thing, so I did it. Thank you very much.